Hello. Well, actually, this is my welcome video. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Sherry Schaefer, the artist and mystic of fluidity. I have been putting together for quite some time. Now it is November 9th, 2020. And since about mid-April, I think in the 20s, the early 20s of April of this year, I was activated with light language. And it was from reading a book about light language from Jamie Price. And it was about what light language is, and it was kind of like if you're reading this book, you're probably on the right path, to be able to channel light language. Everything always has divine timing and divine reason, and if that's the case, here are ways to help to bring about and activate and strengthen your abilities to do this. And so a couple chapters in, after she explains what light language is, then there are steps that you can take to try and start to channel the light language for yourself. And it was instant. Like I've been made to do this my whole entire life. Even though I've never done this, in this lifetime, I've never done this ever my whole entire life. And so now that it's November, so it's definitely several months later, and I have felt compelled all this time to be recording these channeled messages that I am receiving. Now I am very content to be kind of like a wallflower and never to stand up or stand out. I never like to be, like the first person called up in class, when everybody had to present their projects for the day, or even just to be called on in general. I was usually okay, if I was called on to like answer something, but when that answer entailed, like having to go up in front of the classroom to write something on the board or to say something, always kind of terrified me. And it was actually something that I wanted to overcome, actually. So I kind of forced myself to take speech class in high school, and to get myself, I guess, like less afraid or less fearful of being in front of a class and presenting. And and I can do it. I mean, it's not like something I want to do all the time, but I can do it. But what always happened to me, I always have such a high level of anxiety when doing that. I mean, my stomach would just churn and broil, and my cheeks would get flaming red, and I would get so, like almost shaking. I would get so nervous, but I did it, and I've never, I don't, very rarely, if ever since then, have I ever been in front of, like a large audience to present something. So I don't know if I've completely outgrown that fear and anxiety after 49 years. I know some of it is still there. If I were to, it's a little bit easier doing this in front of a video camera. If I had an audience in front of me doing this, I would feel I would probably, my cheeks would be really red and I would be like a little shaky. But I know what the light language sounds like, and it's weird. It is. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's different. Some may even say, it sounds crazy sounding. That a person can just gotta close their eyes, meditate, and connect spiritually, and then emanating from their mouth is this language or these sounds, or that is, I'm a North American, white English suburban mom, of 2 living in Northeast Ohio. I did take like 6 years of French class in high school, or a little bit through like middle school, a little bit in college. So it's the only experience I've had with any foreign language. But now these voices and this language and these sounds that are emanating from me is completely magical and mysterious and kind of wild and crazy, but in a good way. And so in knowing that, and knowing how easily it can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, feared, I've been very, very hesitant about releasing these videos, even though I've felt prompted, to make these videos, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh no, nobody's ever going to see these, and then, my higher self and all my guides have other plans in store otherwise. So it's been a journey since then in building up a little bit of self-esteem, self-confidence, releasing fears and trying to reverse and transmute just the negative self-talk and the self-beliefs I've had, with myself over these years, that kind of prevent me from wanting to stand up, to stand out, let my voice be heard, to make a difference. And ideally, that was kind of stuff that I've always kind of resonated with and liked to, but it always felt like so against my natural nature to ever want to do that. And then I think kind of in response, I would just have horrible fear and anxiety and fearful of judgment and criticism, of people not understanding. I don't like to be teased or made fun of. And I don't want to make that sound like, I'm extremely sensitive and fragile, and I've got a sense of humor and I can take a good joke. But I take personal criticism, personal judgment, I take that personally. Because I'm always so hard on myself. So then when other people, I feel like are hard with me, it just kind of reiterates like all the self-criticism stuff that I have of myself, and it just compounds things and, makes things anxious. And so I think you can probably, if others can relate to that, you understand where I'm kind of going with that. So with the thought of actually having to make my channel public, has always been in the back of my mind, like, oh no way, Jose. and my guides are this, oh yes, baby bird, it's time for you to leave the nest and fly. So I've been, over this last month, I've been really feeling the gentle pushes, from the guides to take that step up to the edge of the nest, and take your first flight. And you did it one time, okay, so then you can do it again. Keep doing it, keep getting stronger and building yourself up, and you're going to get there, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So I guess now is like the time for my big reveal. Here on in between November 8th and 9th of 2020. It's taken me a couple of days to get things all organized and put together. And no, it sounds like somebody's now deciding to mow their lawn. But we're going to hear the leaf blower from somebody else in the background, and the mower is kind of loud, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Oh, see, now I've completely lost my train of thought. Oh, about getting my channel and stuff together these past 2 days. And so one of the things I kind of wanted to do was to create a kind of welcome video, explanation video, you know, just so that you have a little bit of my backstory, and then you also have a better understanding of what light language is and what it's not. And I'm not an authority, you know, on the subject. I'm so brand new, you know, with all of this myself, and I'm learning. But, you know, I think I can kind of give an overall explanation of what it is, or, you know, and again, this is my perspective and my understanding. You know, it might resonate differently with you, or, you know, what I'm telling you might encourage you to, you know, do some research or reading of your own, and you may, you know, interpret it a little differently or understand it a little differently than how I'm presenting it. And by all means, I definitely encourage that. You know, don't just take my word for it. So again, if anybody's interested in that book by Jamie Price, I do highly recommend that. Oh goodness, now I lost my train of thought. I'm kind of being distracted by all the noise. Oh, what light language is. So light language is known by different names through the ages. You know, I think of in the most recent developments in the metaphysical and spiritual community, it's been called light language or love language. But before that kind of definition and understanding was given around it, a lot of people have known this also as speaking in tongues or speaking the Holy Spirit. You know, it's a type of channeling, and, you know, until, you know, like I said, you know, kind of more modern interpretations of what this was, you know, referring it to as light language or love language, you know, that's what it was commonly termed as, was speaking in tongues. Now, as with everything that's out there, there are light presentations of that, and then there are dark presentations of that. So a lot of it is up to the individual person who is doing the channeling and what kind of energy they are tapping into. And you can tap into a dark energy, you can tap into a light energy. And so either from fear of people kind of instinctively knowing that maybe they are hearing a dark message, a dark speaking of tongues, that very well could be. But then also there is, you know, like a fear surrounding speaking in tongues, you know, where people have labeled it and mislabeled it, you know, out of fear and ignorance, mislabeled it as ultimate, you know, like evil, it's demonic, it's possession, and those teachings or belief systems surrounding speaking in tongues as a whole has kind of stuck through the ages. So it hasn't been something that has been fully welcomed, you know, and welcomed, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Hasn't been welcomed in society or promoted, you know, well within society. But now, modern times, you know, a lot of old fears and old belief systems are crumbling and being debunked, and, you know, people are more open to these kinds of spiritual modalities, because over time it has been shown, you know, and again with people's education and research and looking at things in a different perspective, it is definitely kind of making a well-deserved reintroduction into society, where it is well received and believed and looked upon, you know, in a respectful manner instead of a fearful manner. So of course, like deep down inside, just because of the way that I am, and I am empathic, and I'm, you know, I've always strived to do like the right thing, and I'm a people pleaser, and you know, I can be kind of a perfectionist. So of course, you know, my greatest fear is, you know, thinking that as soon as I put this out there, I'm going to start being called, you know, evil and demonic, and you know, that I'm doing something bad, and you know, or that I must be crazy, you know, like you are just plumb crazy if you think that's real, or you know, or even people calling me a fraud or whatever. So those are my deep-seated fears around people thinking that of me, you know, when I'm over here just like, but I'm just giving out like the message from you know, the high frequencies of light and love and in purity and unity, and it's beautiful. And you know, please don't misunderstand this or misinterpret it, because it really is light and love and nothing to be afraid of. I mean, I know that it can be viewed as very strange and different, because the sounds and stuff emanating from my vocal cords are very strange and different, and not something you're used to hearing every single day. So I do get that. But I don't want people's false judgments or harsh criticisms with something that they don't understand, or believe to be something that it's not, just from years of, you know, that kind of programming. So that's why I've been so hesitant. And now, you know, I'm kind of letting all that out there, so I think it's kind of a way of me to kind of like further release, like, okay, I'm finally admitting it, you know, letting the universe, you know, kind of like take it and transmute it, and this is a new beginning. I'm getting rid of all that old stuff. Bring on the new, baby. I'm ready. I'm finally ready. So so and that's what it is. It's just. And there are different ways of channeling the light language. It doesn't always have to be verbal. As you'll see in some of my videos, it's just hand signing. It can come out in automatic writing. That's another term for some of the light language channelings or channelings is automatic writing, drawing. But what oftentimes, I guess a little bit of the difference between the like a light language and like a channeling from, you know, say your grandmother, is that with the light language, it sources usually are not English, not earthbound, you know, so when you're channeling, and I think the reason that I channel the way that I do is because I've always been very open and receptive and willing to bring in and bring forth, you know, exactly what I'm hearing and sensing and feeling, and wanting it to be presented out in its purest form, you know, to the best of my abilities. So I do get a lot of, you know, non-English, non-earthly channelings. You know, I have been trying to work with getting a little bit more of my messages, you know, being able to some way, somehow, that they're translated, you know, so that I am able to present them in English, so that the message can be clearly understood. But what the beauty is with the light language is that it's supposed to resonate with you or bring about healings or activations, or, you know, that it just seems to be understood on a level that's not easily understood. I kind of equate it to, you know, watching an opera in Italian. There isn't a word of English, yet you feel so much from what you're seeing and feeling and hearing, and even though they're not speaking a word of Italian, and you have no idea, you know, what is really going on in the story. There's so much emotion and feeling and around with the music and the drama that it resonates with you, and you're emotional, and you just get it and you feel it, even though you don't understand a word. So I feel like light language works a lot like that. that it's just something that you feel, that you understand, you know, and that you kind of understand, but you don't understand why you understand it or how you understand it when, you know, it's not in English, or it's just a hand sign, or it's a drawing with unusual looking symbols, and, you know, or like hieroglyphic type of symbols and glyphs and that sort of thing. And if people are open and willing to accept it, then, you know, then that's what helps the message reach you. If you're going to be completely like closed-minded and like, nope, I don't understand that, it doesn't make any sense to me, it looks weird, it's crazy, then no, you know, the message may not resonate with you, or at least like not on a conscious level. I sometimes think, you know, even though I may face criticism, or there, you know, I'm gonna run into the doubters and stuff, I still believe that my messages are still going to plant seeds. They might not get it right now, but, you know, it could possibly be, you know, the catalyst that it resonates with them or activates them later on down the road. So that's another thing that I've been it's kind of been presented to me by my guides as an incentive to like keep doing this, keep going. You know, don't let the criticism set you back, because you'll never know if you've planted the seed with that person that seemed to be a complete disbeliever or very judgmental. You may have planted a seed with that, and that is why it's always important to voice your truth. Always, always, always. And I've had to do a lot of throat chakra work and like activations. I know that I still have a ways to go, but, you know, my throat chakra has been closed for a very long time. And I only had my spiritual awakening in June of last year, 2019. So it has been this mad, crazy rush of getting all of this stuff I'm trying to learn, and I keep like receiving all the activations, and things come to me like really quickly and easily, but I don't even understand them, because I was not a spiritual person at all whatsoever before this. I was actually like quite skeptical, you know, and I had no idea, none. Then I had this spiritual awakening, and I'm like, oh my God, what the heck just happened? So it's been quite an adventure, and a lot of stuff, just kind of, you know, being crammed into me so that I can try and figure it out. And it's been, my life has changed in ways I would never have even expected, and all for the good. Definitely all for the good. So I know that this video is now very long. I hope I at least maintained your interest, and you were able to stick it out and hear me through, and kind of hear my story and hear my my explanation of light language. I hope it makes sense with you, and I do hope that you enjoy these videos. And if you do, please hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share my videos with people that you think the light language might resonate with. I appreciate all the love and support, and as always, light and love. Mwah. My Blue Jays are apparently signing off as well. All right, until next time. Oh, okay, I have a PS, a postscript, an addendum, an addition to my welcome video. So I am very tech unsavvy, so hopefully my 14-year-old son can figure out how to splice this little bit into near the end of my my light language intro video. And before I do my sign off, hopefully he can splice this in between, or maybe it'll just have to be added in the very end. But I totally forgot to mention, the sources that I get from my light language. Sometimes it's known, sometimes it's not known. So if you notice on the list of my playlists, sometimes I have question marks behind them because I've never, I feel rather strongly, in my thinking that that's what the source is, but since I've never gotten anything definitive, I still kind of leave the question mark, even though, I kind of should follow my intuition, and, and I feel like, I am right in that part, in identifying the source, even though I haven't gotten, definitive proof. No one is coming in and saying, yes, this is coming from Sirius. Or, so not, some of them, like my Palladians, my Three of Loves Palladians, they made their origin known immediately. So sometimes I get confirmations, and other times I don't. And even so there's my cosmic sources. I do believe that Sirius was the first, and then the Pleiades, and then I do think maybe in just the last couple of videos, I think some Lyran, some Arcturian, and some Mantis being energy was channeled through. So those are my cosmic connections. But then when it comes to earthbound connections, there's Mother Earth, Gaia, and since I don't know the source of what some of these other languages are, I can only kind of equate them to what I think that they kind of sound like, and I don't mean to like insult anybody, of those cultures or races, by saying, well, I just think it sounds not Native American, and it might not be. So I'm just kind of basing it on my very limited experience in being able to identify these other types of languages. And I don't know if they're current or kind of current-ish, modernish, or if they're very ancient or archaic forms of these types of languages. But just, my assessment of, some of it I think sounds very Native American, whether that be North American or South American, like Mayan, Polynesian, maybe kind of Oriental Asian, maybe. Were there any others? And I really don't know where the overtone throat singing comes from, but I do know that that is a tradition in kind of the Asian countries, like Mongolia and Nepal, but then I also know that the Alaskan Inuit, and I think in some parts of Russia, like Serbia, so I'm not sure. Well, I do know that it started in, what was the year, 1533 maybe, by a Tibetan monk who dreamed of that throat singing, overtone singing, and then brought that into the monastery. So how I'm tapping into that, I don't know, unless, I think some of the channelings and stuff, the languages and stuff that I'm able to bring through are also past life experiences, that I had within these cultures, these religions, these races. Those are the explanations that resonate with me, that make sense. Or I'm even, tapping into some of my higher self and my future selves, and the beings that I end up incarnating into, in the future that speak these languages. So those are just my assessments and the things that I resonate with, or feel like I intuitively receive kind of input, kind of focused in those directions. And so I just thought I would add that into it. And then plus also I just want to, you know, make it clear, and I'll try and say this like for the last time, because, you know, I'm trying to work on the negative self-talk and stuff, you know, that what you put in is what you get out. So if I constantly say, well, I'm not this and I'm not that, or I can't do this and I can't do that, well, I'm going to continue to not be able to do those things or to be those things. But I just have to put out there, you know, and again, for, I guess, you know, for anybody who decides to be a critic, you know, about my abilities. Okay, I am not a singer. You know, I sang for a couple years in the youth choir in church, you know, when I was young. I am not a singer. I've never been trained to be a singer. You know, I've probably even been teased or stuff, you know, that I kind of sound like a dying horse or a screeching cat singing. You know, I know I'm not, you know, I know I'm off tune and, you know, can be kind of tone deaf. But apparently Spirit wants me to be a singer, and they don't care what I sound like and what my abilities are. They just want the message out. I'm not an artist. I have the drawing skills of a 5-year-old. So I have seen a lot of other people's beautiful, beautiful light language drawings and art, and, you know, personally I'm very envious because it looks beautiful and it looks like something, and it's beautiful, and my stuff looks like a 5-year-old did it. So I'm channeling this information, you know, and I'm sure that like the message or whatever itself is supposed to look really beautiful, but then it's through these unartistic fingers, you know, and so it looks like a 5-year-old did it. So I always feel like I'm never doing, you know, my light language justice, you know, because I'm not an artist, I'm not a singer, but I'm singing and I'm drawing. And so again, but they don't care if it's a masterpiece, you know, that it's this great work of art. They just want the message out. Like, the message is going to resonate, you know, or it's going to get to you, whether it looks like Picasso did it or it looks like Sherry Schaefer from Ohio, 49-year-old, you know, suburban mom with 5-year-old drawing skills, you know, did it. So I thought I would just kind of put that out there, that, you know, I realize that, you know, when compared to, you know, what's considered good singing and good artistic abilities, I'm very, very low on that scale. But I have the heart, you know, and the desire to bring these messages through. And so again, like, Spirit doesn't care. They love like an open, willing conduit. And that's me. So I just do the best that I can. And so if anybody is going to criticize me when it comes to that, oh, I've got a little bug traveling on me. If anybody's going to criticize me, you know, on those particular skills, just know that, you know, you're not saying anything that I don't really, you know, already feel. So, you know, I you know, try not to have my feelings hurt because I know, you know, you're not saying anything that I don't know. But again, I've got to work on, you know, the negative self-talk, and, you know, so if I want to continue to not be able to sing or continue to not be able to draw, and if I keep saying, well, I can't do these things or I'm not these things, then that's what's going to continue to happen. So again, something I'm just kind of, all right, I put it out there, universe. Okay, I'm ready to let that go. All right, we're on to the next stage, the next step. So I am a singer and I am an artist. Yes. See the wink, wink, wink? Yeah, but I try. That's the only thing I could do, is I can try. So, all right. So that was my little PS at the end that I had to add on to that. Okay. Mwah.